Hey guys, Moneyman300 back for some more Forza 6 videos, and we are back for another episode of This Week in the Forza Community. This will be the week of the 24th or the 25th, whether you think the week starts on Sunday or Monday. But let's hop right into it. First thing I want to talk about is this week's league, and it is C-Class Street Kings. The S-Class racing for the Ferrari car is still going on. I'm not going to really talk about that one. What I do want to talk about is this week's, which is pretty cool. It's a C-Class Japanese Street Kings, some very competitive cars out there. So I do have a couple built up that I will do some tuning videos on for that one. But let's first take a look at all of the cars that are available. So I selected Japanese Street Kings. I am in free play, and we're going to do select a car, and I'm just going to go up to buy a car and give you guys a quick rundown of the car. So first one we have here is in the recommended. So let's skip the recommended. I must have a car class selected. Hang on, because there are more cars than that available. Game options. We have there it is. Get that out of there. So any. So make sure you do any class there. Now let's try this again. We should have a few more options this time. There we go. So first off, we got a couple of Acuras, the RSX Type S and the Integra. The Integra I built as a speed car, and it's pretty decent as a speed car, and I'll probably put that tune out there. I don't see the RSX being all that competitive, and it might be a weight thing, and it is. It's 2,800 pounds out of the box. You can make it a little lighter, but I think the Integra is going to be more competitive than the RSX. Doesn't mean you can't build one to do pretty well, but for the most part, that's how that's going to go down. The 2014 Civic Si, probably not going to be competitive at all, just too heavy, and you can't quite do enough with it, horsepower and speed. What is going to be, though, is the Honda S2000. You're probably going to see this one out there a lot, and this is the one I have for a speed / all-around tune build, so you will be seeing that one. So I would expect to see a lot of those in the league play this week. Next up are some Mazda. So we have the RX-8 R3, the Mazda Speed 3, and the RX-7. I'm not sure any of these are going to be particularly competitive. The R8's a pretty average car. You can sort of make it into a little bit of a grip car, but not really. This thing is just heavy and relatively slow. You might be able to get some speed out of this if you can get some of the weight out of it, but at 3,200 pounds, that's kind of a beast. The RX-7 is probably your best bet, as you might be able to make a speed car out of this. Although, you know, we're looking at 263 horsepower, but it is front-wheel drive. I don't know, maybe. This possibly, but that's pretty high up in class, you know, towards the top of the class already, and you're not going to be able to do a whole lot with it. Next up, you got the GSX and the Galant VR4. I really don't see either of these being particularly competitive, but you could try them out. The nice part is they are all-wheel drive, so you get that good launch off of the line. I don't know if you're going to be able to get the quickness and the zip that you're going to need here. Next up, we've got the Nissans, and we got the Team Fairlady. I don't know if this is something I tuned up or if it came tuned. But that one is available, Team Fairlady Z. You'll probably see some of these out here. You can probably make a pretty decent speed car out of this one. You can see it sitting up there at 6.3 speed. That is pretty good, but you drop down one, you got a 6.6 speed out of the box. So that's probably after you put the arrow on it and some things like that. It does knock that number down. So you might be able to make a nice little speed car out of that one. And then I wonder if that must be 500 by default. So that comes out of the box at 500. I'm not sure there's much you can do with it to make that any better. Next up, we got the Silvia Spec R and the Silvia Club K. I picked one of these. I don't remember. I think it was this Club K that I was going to try to make a speed car out of it. And yeah, you can see how that I own it and maybe build that. There's a potential that either one of these, if you can get enough into it, could make a decent speed car as well. Next, we go over to the Scion. We got the Scion TC. If it was the FRS, I don't even know if the FRS is in the game or if it's just the Toyota GT86. Then we'd be in business. I don't think this one's going to be particularly good. Only 180 horsepower out of the box and 3,000 pounds. probably not going to be competitive, but you can play around with it and see what you get. Then we got a Subaru Legacy, another all-wheel drive car, not terrible on the weight, and you do have a little bit of play in PI to work with, so you might be able to do something with this one. Last up are the Toyotas, and we got the 2003 Celica, which makes a really nice grip car and actually has some pretty competitive times on the leaderboards in C-Class already. So this is the grip car that I chose, was the 2003 Celica. I think that one's a really good one. Look at and the reason is it's starting out at 2,500 pounds and only at D325 and decent horsepower at 180. So you can work with that and make a pretty good grip car out of it based on where it starts. This thing just starts too heavy. It's all-wheel drive, and it starts a little bit higher up there, so it's sort of difficult to do enough with this to make it competitive, but you could certainly give it a run, maybe as a speed car, and hope that you have just enough handling to hang out. So that is the league and kind of overview of the league cars that we have out there and what's going on in game. Like I said, the other league is still going on out there, so you can still try to get that Ferrari if you haven't already. And next up, we're gonna hop over to my PC here and take a look at see what's going on in the forums this week and anywhere else in the racing community. All right, so here we are over on the PC here checking out the forums, and the first thing I want to talk about is my favorite thread of the week. And last week we talked about the Yas Marina and what could be done with that, and is there going to be anything done with that, kind of a thread that was going on the forum this week. I thought this was a great question and some really good discussion happening out there, and it is, what makes a track great? So, not a wish list, like he says there, from Tonye Rogue 750. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but anyway, it just poses the question, and I thought it was a really interesting question, about what does make a track great. And I'm going to give you, a couple things that are my opinion. I like tracks that have a little bit of everything. A longer straight, some short sweeping turns, they're not short, but some sweepers on turns, and then a couple of tight turns. I don't like tracks that are just like all tight all the time, constant turns, and it just feels like a rigor to be able to drive. I like a track that's a little bit more wide open, that offers passing opportunities, that doesn't get all just junked up in a multiplayer race, and gives some people an opportunity for the race to spread out just a little bit. And for that to happen, you need to have a decent straightaway or two. So when I think of tracks like that, I'm thinking Road America, Spa. They have a good variation of types of turns. There's some difficult turns in there, and there's some easier turns. There's some high speed stuff, and there's some little slower stuff. It also allows for different types of cars to excel on them. I also like the Sebrings, and when you talk about Silverstone is another one that I'm leaving. I'm sure there's a whole host of other ones, but those are just some examples off the top of my head. Even a Laguna Seca, which is a little bit tighter, but the nature of those turns, it offers for some nice places and some good passing opportunities. So, let me know what you guys think makes a great track. Hop into the conversation here on the forum. I think it's a great question, and there's a lot of great answers out there that talk about that, and it's obviously everybody's going to have a little bit different view on it, but there are certainly tracks that become more popular than others, and there's probably reasons as to why that happens. So that's on that. The other thing I want to point out here in the forums, and let's back out just a little bit, and this one's in the Tuner's Garage, and if you're not checking out the Tuner's Garage, there's a lot of great stuff in here. A lot of guys putting their tunes out there. Open source tunes is a great way to learn how to tune. You can see exactly what other people are doing. You can dial those settings up on yours, try them, see what you like, see what you don't like, and there's a lot of good discussion that happens out there. One thing I wanted to call out to, and I wish I would have gotten to this last week because it has already started, and I must have just missed it because HLR PR Kid and I think a couple HLR guys, they put on a lot of tuning competitions, and they'll post them here in the forum. And for example, there's one that started last week, and it looks like it's closed, so you're not going to be able to get any new entries into it, but I thought it was an interesting one. So it's a 51 miles at Le Mans Classics or C-Class tuning competition. So I believe they're going to do it on two tracks, old Le Mans as well as Le Mans Bugatti, and then you pick one car to build up that in Class C that cannot have any of those, and then they go through and they have different guys drive them and test them, and then they rank them. So that's pretty cool. Here's a list of people that are in there, and then they post and they talk about their builds and their tunes throughout here, and most will share their tunes and open source them. in some cases as well, so you can just see how they go. But keep an eye on the forums. They do quite a few of those tuning competitions. They start, they'll run them for about a month usually, and then another one will start up. But I thought I just wanted to call attention to it out here. But you can follow along. You could go out and build your own car and kind of see how you might compare to some of the other people that are putting their tunes up. So those are always fun. Different things out here. My man right here has got some league tunes where he's putting up, was putting up some different stuff in leagues. And I don't know how recent he is. Let's check this out. It must be pretty recent if it's on the front page. So there you go. So he is working on the C Street. He's actually going to do, because he's got no arrow RSX, so just different things. It's always good to come out here and check out the tuners forum, because there's a lot of great people posting a lot of great information. And if you ever have a question on tuning, certainly you could post them in my videos, and I do the best I can to ask them or to answer all of those questions. But you can also get differing opinions out here in the Tuners Garage. So that is what's going on there. Oh, also there was a real small update that came out, I believe, on Sunday. It wasn't any gameplay mechanics or any major type of update. It fixed a bug with some Chinese characters on a loading screen that happened for some people. So if you did notice, there was an update. That's what that update was. Nothing big, no gameplay mechanics were changed at all in that update. And then one last thing I was going to cover, and if you follow me on Twitter, I tweeted this out earlier today, but IMSA tweeted out that, hey, if you're looking for a guide on car classes and what each of the car classes mean, they have a link out here that's at imsa.com/imsa101/car-classes. So you can come out here and you can take a look, and they cover each one of them. Your pro and pro-am, kind of the different specifications for each one. They prototype challenge, GTLM, and GTD. So those are the 5. Is there 5? Yeah, like 5 or 6 different classes that they've got, and just different things out here about them. So I found that to be really interesting information. If you like to watch IMSA races and you're trying to keep up on what those classes are, this is a really good place to just brush up on what that means. So don't have a whole lot else this week that I can think of. Hey, make sure you're out there supporting other people in the community. There's a lot out there doing YouTube and grinding out there. As always, Raceboy77 grinding out there on Twitch pretty much twice a day, every day. Stella Stig has been out on Twitch quite a bit as well. Make sure you get out and support those guys working out there and helping to make Forza a better game and bring it out there to more people. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.